Welcome to PricePlow. This is Mike. And so I'm very excited today to announce, well, do you remember, if a few months ago, I teased a funny little white powder on my table, and I was talking about a new form of glycerol that was coming out. One that is far less annoying, far less gritty, and far less clumping than all the others on the market. And that was NNB Nutrition's HydroPrime. And today, I'm happy to announce that it's also available in a single serving form from Alpha Lion, known as Alpha Lion's Gains Candy HydroPrime, part of their Gains Candy series, where it's just their single ingredient supplements here. And so for those of you who are looking for a little bit of a glycerol add-on to your pre-workouts or some other use cases that I have in this video, then you can just check this out. We have it on PricePlow. This product was sent for free, but this video is actually more sponsored by NNB Nutrition, the creators of HydroPrime. The first supplement that really had it was Alpha Lion's SuperHuman Pump, which is newly renamed and updated from Komodo Pump. Ben's gonna have a video on that. And in this product, if you take 2 full scoops, you're gonna get 3 grams worth of HydroPrime inside. And in each of these capsules here, you're gonna get 500 milligrams. So you have 2 different ways of getting this in. Now, in this video, so if you're interested in checking out some extra glycerol, then head on over to PricePlow. We have it on our blog, pricePlow.com/alpha-lion, and you'll be able to find it. And there it is. So in this video, we're gonna talk about, we have a blog post. And it is a monstrous blog post with several citations talking about the benefits of glycerol. So outside of the disclaimers that this product was sent for free and that that is sponsored by NNB Nutrition, we need to make another major disclaimer. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of the studies that we talk about in that article are with some very, very high doses of glycerol. When we're talking about elite athletes getting hyperhydration status, going on an ultra marathon run, chances are they're gonna need more than 3 grams of glycerol. And a lot of them have like 20, 30 grams, even possibly even more amounts of glycerol. So let's keep in mind that a lot of the studies we're gonna talk about were ridiculously dosed. Now, you could do a lot of that with Alpha Lion here, but at some point, if you're going for the mega hyperhydration, huge dosing, and you know you're gonna be training at like 120 degree heat benefits are definitely there. You're going to possibly want to go into some of the liquids, but the liquids, you know, they kind of taste like soap. If you ever notice, there's glycerin in a lot of different types of soaps and kind of soapy. So that's the story here. So I just want to make sure that's really clear. But what we've kind of seen is that we think you can get a lot of the benefits, or at least start feeling the benefits somewhere in that like 3 to 6, maybe if you can get 10 grams a day, but like 6 grams a day seems to be like a really good sweet spot. And that's possible if you take a product like this on one end of the day, and possibly consider taking 3 grams or even just a few more of these on the other end of the day, you could do that. Or if you're like me and you love a product such as Alpha Lion Superhuman Burn, this has a lot of fat burning type of ingredients inside, it doesn't have any glycerol, you could add on glycerol, and then you have a pre-workout that's a little bit less gritty, but also still has the HydroPrime added in. So you can kind of make your own stack, and that's what the Gains Candy series is all about. So in general, when we're talking about glycerol, we're gonna start talking about general glycerol. This is a very simple sugar alcohol molecule. And you'll note that, yes, it is technically kind of, it's gonna show up as a carbohydrate if you eat enough grams of it. And if you're like a keto zealot, you're really worried about blood sugar for whatever reason, although I will note that your blood sugar is gonna probably spike if you're working out anyway, but if you're like way into monitoring your blood sugar, if you eat enough of this stuff, your blood sugar will go up. So it is a sugar alcohol, but the glycerol molecule is incredibly important in all kinds of biological processes, and is typically like the backbone of many of our energy transporting molecules, triglycerides. That's where we have 3 fatty acid molecules attached to a glycerol backbone. So it's really the backbone of a lot of stuff going on. And in our blog post, we talk about that. We also talk about when you are in like more of a fasted state and you have this the state of gluconeogenesis going on, when you need to create new glucose because you have no, like, if you haven't eaten carbs and you need to create like a little bit of carbohydrates for your bloodstream typically likes about 5 grams of carbs and 5 grams of glucose in the bloodstream at any time. If you need to create more because you're working out and you're like fasted, well then glycerol is brought into the equation there as well. So this is incredibly important. But of course, the scientists are like, what happens if we have more of this stuff? Because this is a very interesting molecule and it's typically going to be in liquid form unless you have the mad scientists at NNB Nutrition powderizing it properly, and then you get something a lot better here. Well, what happens when we take more? And that's where the scientists started going down the rabbit hole, and a lot of human research showing 4 main benefits. Is it 5? 5. First off, increased hydration. And basically everything's gonna come through the increased hydration avenue. And we'll talk about what glycerol does to make that happen. But most of the benefits are kind of like indirect benefits just from increased hydration. So at the end of the day, it's like a hydration increaser. After that, you're gonna get, with enough dosage, we see effects with increased performance and endurance, and especially at the end of those endurance races. We'll talk about that. Third, improved cardiovascular health. Fourth, body heat regulation. I think it has to do with just being able to retain more water, which we'll talk about. And then finally, the main reason that most people here are probably going to want to talk about ingesting glycerol is for cellular volumization, or that water-based pump that people get when training with this stuff, with a product like this. So you get the nitric oxide pumps from those NO boosters like citrulline, add in the glycerol, and get the water-based pump, feel a little bit more swole. And that's why a lot of people are using it. And you can feel that from a lot less than the like crazy amounts of endurance effects, like 20 grams. You don't need that much to feel that like water pump, but you do need to drink it with a lot of water. So let's talk about a little bit of the studies. In general, the way it works is that it increases when you ingest supplemental glycerol. I'm not talking about your own endogenously created glycerol. I'm talking about the exogenously supplemented glycerol we're taking in with a supplement like this. You're going to increase osmotic pressure and increase the total volume of water in your body, especially over the course of time. And so what happens, and not like over the course of years or anything, but over the course of the next couple hours. And so what happens is that you're going to get, long story short, more water getting pushed around your body. And if you had to drink it with a lot of water, like I should be doing it now, more water being pushed around your body. And then eventually, if you're lifting weights, it's gonna get pushed to the muscles, and it's going to cause like cellular expansion, more water between the cells, and you're gonna feel a better pump. And so your body holds onto more water, and it gets pushed around a little bit better, osmotic pressure. But the coolest part, and this is discussed later on in the blog post that we'll link to, and if you're watching on YouTube, is that it decreases urine output. And that's where my special little use case comes in. Now, a while back, we talked about, it was ReviveMD's prostate supplement, a crazy loaded prostate supplement. And obviously, if you have a urine issue at night, if you're constantly going, you should not be masking the symptoms. You gotta get at the root of the problem, absolutely. However, for people who are having some issues that are not making it all the way through the night, if you can possibly tinker with this, or if you're just taking a sleep aid, for instance, that it's like a powdered sleep aid or a tea that causes you to drink more liquid right before bed, and then you have to pee halfway through the night, that's disrupted sleep. Little hack here, and no one talks about this. Maybe someone talks about this. Not many people. Take a few of these before bed, and you might be able to make it a little bit longer, because in these studies, all these athletes compared to placebo have reduced urine output. So possibly the off-label use case of this is to take some of these before bed. So in general, we talked, I'm going through this blog post, we talked about gluconeogenesis. So they call it hyperhydration. And in general, you're gonna get more water, and you're gonna hold on to your water longer, and you're going to have less urine output. All awesome things, especially for the ultra endurance athletes who are out there who, you know, if you're on a marathon or whatever, you don't always have water completely like, always available. If you're doing like the long distance swims, for instance, yeah, swimming in water, you don't wanna drink that. So you don't always have water always available, and you don't want to be taking potty breaks. Well, I guess in the open swims you can do that, but you know, during a race on your bike or on land, you don't want to be going to the bathroom all the time. Glycerol is something that should definitely be explored by those folks. However, a lot of these studies show that the endurance effects really start kicking in from the hydration. Everything, like I said, is related to just keeping your water on longer. The endurance effects, if you look at the studies here, things are pretty similar to placebo here. Even compared to glucose, they're pretty similar to placebo for about the first 60 minutes. But in those like 30-mile races, towards the end, it's the third loop, the last 10 miles, where the glycerol pulls away. And that's where everyone's hanging onto their water longer. I honestly think it's just because it's staying available in the muscles longer, and you stay hydrated longer, rather than everyone else sweating and peeing it out. It might be just that simple. So, and as we know that when your hydration status starts to drop and starts to decline, performance goes down. So there's nothing like magical that's going on here. It's just letting you hang on to your water longer. So that's really the endurance effect of it. And I think a lot of things come from that. So a lot of studies show time after time after time, if you're doing something for just like 60 minutes, it might not be a big deal. You might like that water pumping and stuff in the gym. But if you're racing for medium to long-term distances, that's where hanging onto your water is gonna make such a big difference, and you hydrate up, and again, you're not gonna have to go to the bathroom all the time, which is huge, especially if you're like nervous in a race. We've all been there. So, we've been there. So that's where you get a lot of the athletic performance. Now, on top of that, the studies show that this works really well in intense heat. So your capacity to train in heat goes up. Again, and it's towards the end, where in the heat, the participants using glycerol fare better towards the end. Better time to exhaustion, so it takes them longer to get exhausted, and better reduction of fatigue, mostly towards the end. Everything stays about the same, and then at the end, glycerol pulls away. I really think it's just because you're hanging onto your water a little bit longer. And related to the heat, the body's internal temperatures stay a little bit lower. Again, likely because you're just hanging onto water a little bit better. So right now I'm filming this in the September of 2020. Fall is just about here and everything. But man, it was a hot summer, and I was actually doping up on glycerol before going out, even working in the yard. Like it definitely works. I have no doubt about it at this point, because I was just able to hang on there, and I wasn't peeing as much. I swear, I'm so big on this effect. Like, take the stuff before bed. I'm huge. But finally, and related to the same effect, the heart rate is a little bit lower too. Your body's gonna have to work less hard, and it's gonna be easier to pump the blood with a little bit more water inside. So everything just seems to calm down a little bit with better hydration. That's why glycerol is such an incredible thing. Finally, one other thing, and this is based on, everything I've talked about is based on pretty high dose human studies, which is really cool. But there is one cool rat study, and it's really cool because it translates to 10 to 12 grams of glycerol per day, which really isn't that much out of the stretch if you want to get after it with this stuff. As you can see, it's kind of easy to take these and have a little bit of fun. So in this study, the rats were given either glycerol, glucose, or saline, and then they were split into exercising and non-exercising groups. The non-exercising rats that were given glycerol maintained their protein status better. There might, just might, I don't know if it'll translate to significance in humans, but there might be body composition gains that will last while you're supplementing it as well. Not just the temporary swollish feeling from getting more water. There might be something to it, because even in the trained rats, protein degradation was less, and it was less with glycerol. And they had better lactic acid levels as well. So something about glycerol doing a little bit extra on top of just hanging onto water. There might be other mechanisms at play, because it is involved in all kinds of biological processes, and you don't want to have to rely on your liver to produce it when you're training hard. Because a lot of times that we see with a lot of people who aren't as fat adapted, once you have to switch into producing ketones and burning fat and all that, the process is slower than glucose. So at the end of the day, that's mouse-based study. But everything else, high dose with humans, there's some incredible stuff. I think someone, Dan, here's a hint. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share this. We might have to edit this out, but Dan at Ghost actually named it HydroPrime. It was Dan's idea. Shout out to Dan. But I always say, we need some Ghost sleep. And then you add the glycerol as a powder so that you don't have to go to the bathroom. Because a lot of these sleep aids, these teas and everything, maybe you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and that is not the point of getting a sleep aid. So drink as little water as you can before bed, but you know what? We want to stay hydrated. So there's a kind of a yin and yang to that. And as a little test, see if you can pop 4 of these before bed, and see if that makes you last a little bit longer if you're having trouble getting, staying asleep because you have to go to the bathroom. And if you do, of course, chase the root of the problem. Anyway, we've kind of derailed here. NNB Nutrition's HydroPrime is finally out. You can get it in 2 forms. One, SuperHuman Pump, and then you get it even more. Gaines Candy, HydroPrime. Check out the blog post, it's got a zillion citations. We love this stuff, very interesting, and I'm finally glad that there's one that doesn't turn into a mess if you've held on to it for a little while. Still a good powder. We'll see you later. PricePlow.com/NNB-Nutrition is where you can read about more of the NNB Nutrition articles and blog posts and videos and all that stuff we do with Sean Wells. Thanks again for watching.
Welcome to PricePlow.